The business trip got cut short. I flew straight into LA roses in hand. I thought I'd surprise my wife, the marketing manager. The receptionist just pointed. Her husband is by the black Lexus, sir. My name is Frank. I was her husband. I stood in the cool lobby air and felt the roses go slack in my hand. It was late afternoon, a Wednesday. The marble floor of the tower on South Grand looked clean enough to eat off. People in suits moved in lines like they were on rails. The receptionist didn't mean to hurt me. She didn't know. She just pointed out the window toward the valet lane, then apologized like she had bumped my shoulder. The black Lexus sat at the curb with its running lights on. Sleek, quiet, a newer model, not the kind you borrow for errands. A man leaned against the driver's door. Younger than me, maybe mid-40s, hair too perfect, gray suit with those skinny lapels, hands in pockets, a smile like a sale about to close. The elevator doors opened, and my wife Alice stepped out with her work bag. She didn't see me yet. She was laughing at something on her phone. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear the same way she had done at 25 when we lived in a little apartment off Magnolia. She disarmed me with that habit for 35 years. This time it froze me to the floor. She kissed him on the cheek. It was quick and practiced. No hesitation. He opened the car door and she slid in like she had done it 100 times. He rounded the hood and took the wheel. The Lexus pulled away without sound. It blended into the stream of shiny cars heading toward the 110, like nothing had just broken in the world. I didn't move. A guy in a navy blazer walked around me to get to the elevator and muttered, "Excuse me." I stared at the spot where the car had been. It was like staring at a missing tooth and feeling your tongue keep going to the hole. "Everything okay, sir?" the receptionist asked from her desk. She had that careful voice they teach retail people. "Fine," I said. It wasn't fine. The roses looked cheap now. I set them on a side table and left the building. Out on the sidewalk, spring light set on Bunker Hill like a warning. I'm 62. I've done a lot of work with companies over the years. Process, rules, budgets. If you keep your head, you can fix most things. If you don't, you make everything worse. I kept hearing my own advice in my head. Breathe. Look at the facts. Don't make a scene you can't control. I watched the cars merge toward the freeway. I didn't follow them. I called a car and rode back to the valley with my phone face down on my knee. The driver tried to chat about the Lakers. I nodded at the right times. I wanted to be home before she got back so I could look at the house with new eyes. I wanted to see what I had missed. Our place is a one-story in Sherman Oaks. Old shade trees. A low wall with a sag in it. We raised our son there. He's in Oregon now with a family of his own. He knows every squeak in that house. So do I. I put oil on the hinges myself. I patched the same drywall twice after an earthquake, and then after I tried to hang a bigger TV. It's a decent house on a quiet street. People walk their dogs at night and wave. I unlocked the door and went straight to the kitchen. The counter held the same bowl of fruit, the same stack of mail. I went to the desk drawer where Alice kept the household bills. I didn't feel guilty. That ship had sailed at the curb outside her building. I found our joint statements. I found the credit cards. I found something I didn't know existed, an American Express bill for a card I hadn't seen. The name was Alice's. The billing address was ours. The purchases weren't ours. There was the Four Seasons Maui, 5 nights. The dates lined up with the conference she had taken in January. A jeweler in Beverly Hills. The description just said, client gift. The amount would buy a used Honda. There was a payment to a leasing company, Lexus Financial. I sat down in the chair and put the heel of my hand against my eyebrow. The room was too quiet. The refrigerator motor clicked on and off like it was thinking about something. I pulled the Amex statement closer. Then something worse. A transfer to our savings. Not in. Out. Large. The note said Lexus down payment and then a string of numbers. I know what those strings are. VINs. It wasn't just any Lexus she wrote off in. We had paid to get it on the road. Re-hook moment. That's what the kids call it in those crime shows. For me, it was a straight punch. The affair wasn't just in my face. It was in our accounts. In our mortgage line of credit that had a small draw I hadn't questioned because the bank site looked like it always did. And our auto pay moved things around like it always did. It had moved cash out for that car while I was out of town giving a talk to a room full of people about operational discipline. I put the papers in a neat pile. Then I went to the bedroom. I pulled out her rolling suitcase from the closet and checked the front pocket. I don't know why. Maybe I hoped for a miracle note that said I made a mistake and handed me back the last hour of my life. I found a receipt instead. Rolex. The date matched the Maui trip. The line said Oyster Perpetual 41. There was a gift message tucked into the folded tissue. It said, "For time well spent." I sat on the bed and thought about 28 years of holiday cards. I thought about a mortgage we paid off once and then took on again when we built a little back porch. I thought about the night our son broke his arm and I carried him to the car and drove like a madman to the ER while Alice held his hand, and we both talked to him the whole way. We were a team, or I thought we were. I did not cry. I didn't yell. I felt the old part of me take over the part that built systems for a living, the part that knows forms approval's timing. You don't fix a leak by hitting the pipe with a hammer. You shut off the valve. You drain what's left. You repair the weak joint. You test in public so everyone can see the fix holds. I made coffee. I made a plan. First, money. I called the bank. I asked for a freeze on the home equity line. I explained I had reason to believe there was unauthorized use. They asked if I wanted to report fraud. I said not yet. I said I would follow up with documents. They put a temporary hold on new draws. The voice on the other end called me Mr. Walsh and used that slow, careful tone losers use on a golf course when they pull your ball out of the water. Second, documents. I printed everything. Statements. The receipt for the Rolex. The Lexus financial entry with the VIN. The insurance card from the glove box we share. Her name. My name. The address. I copied my driver's license. I copied our marriage certificate. I admit that was ugly to look at. We were smiling like idiots in that photo. You don't know what you're making promises to when you're 26. Third, law. I know a good family attorney. I helped his firm once when they wanted to fix how their intake worked. He shook my hand at a charity thing and said, "If you ever need me, call." I never thought I would. I called. "Frank," he said, "you okay?" "Not yet," I said. "Can you see me first thing in the morning?" "I'll move things around." I slept on the couch that night. I left the bedroom light on and the door open like a stage set that no one had stepped onto yet. She came home late. I heard the garage door, the gentle shut of the car door, the pause in the kitchen, her keys on the counter. She stood in the archway to the living room and looked at me. The silence between us was huge. "I thought you were in Phoenix," she said. "Trip got cut short," I said. "Where were you?" "At an offsite," she said. "Vendor dinner." "Greg." Her eyes flickered. "Just a fraction. I don't know what you think you saw." "I saw enough," I said. "Sit down." "I'm tired," she said. She went to the bedroom. The door closed. I didn't follow. The old me would have to fix it to smooth it to get us back to neutral. The new me sat and watched the blank TV until the sun came up. At 9 a.m., I sat in my attorney's office on Ventura and told the facts in that same voice people use when they say what they did on Saturday. He didn't interrupt. When I finished, he said, "Do you want reconciliation or dissolution?" "I want clarity," I said, "and I want my money back." "We'll file for divorce," he said, plain as the weather. "California's community property. What she bought with community funds matters. The car matters. The watch matters. If there's proof of waste, the court can credit you. The affair itself doesn't change the split much, but the money does. The Lexus is interesting if your names are on the insurance and the payments come from joint accounts." "They do." "Good," he said. "Actually, not good, but useful." He slid a clean folder toward me. "Bring the paper trail. We'll serve her properly. I know a process server who's discreet." "I want it done in public," I said. He raised an eyebrow. "That can backfire." "I don't want a screaming match. I want a strategic moment that ends this. I want her company to see what she and this vendor did. There are ethics issues. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to exaggerate. I'm going to present facts. You tell me where the line is and I won't cross it." He leaned back. "You're talking about their awards gala, aren't you? How did you—" "Everyone knows it's coming up. Millennium Biltmore, big night, sponsors, clients. If she got promoted this year, she's on stage." "She is," I said. "Marketing Manager of the Year." That had been the text she showed me in the kitchen last week, eyes bright. I had kissed her on the head. He thought for a long moment. We can't disrupt an event to serve papers, but we can time service to the lobby. And if you have a right to speak, say, as a spouse registered on the guest list, you could stand up during a toast. Do not defame anyone. Do not speculate. Do not allege crimes out loud. Only say what you can back up in black and white. And you should notify their general counsel separately. The vendor angle is a compliance problem. Kickbacks, confidentiality. Your proof better be clean. It is, I said, or it will be by Saturday. He nodded. I'll draw the petition. We'll request temporary orders to freeze accounts. We'll attach exhibits for the financial waste. You do your part. My part took 2 days. I called an old buddy from a systems audit we did 10 years back for a bank. He's legit. He teaches corporate ethics trainings now and consults for legal teams when they need to track the flow of money between partner companies. I need a simple package, I told him. Nothing shady. Pull public records, cross-check corporate filings. Map the payments from our account to the Lexus lease. Map any transfers from Alice to that guy Greg. He works for a vendor. There might be a shell LLC. I need what you can get from legal sources fast. Frank, I'll help, but I'm not breaking any laws. I'm not asking you to. This is about dots that are already on paper. I just need them connected. He called back that night. Is his last name Salazar? Maybe, I said. I only heard it once. Why? He registered an LLC last year. Salazar Growth Partners, 2 owners. Him and a holding company with a Glendale mailbox. Your wife's Amex sent a consulting fee to that LLC 2 months ago. The memo line says Q4 lead boost. It's clear as day. Kickback, I said. The word tasted like dust. Looks like it. Also, the vendor he works for has a reseller agreement with her company that says no compensation outside the contract. I found a copy on a public RFP board they posted. If she paid him personally and then used him to get leads, and then used those leads to hit her bonus, that's a textbook violation. You'll want to hand that to their general counsel, not just shout it in a room. I don't plan to shout, I said. I plan to read. Also, the Lexus Vine you sent, it's leased through Lexus Financial to Walsh Household Trust. The trust's trustees are you and your wife. Whoever drives that car legally is sitting in property that belongs to you both. I sat very still. Thank you, I said. Frank. Yeah, you're one of the steady ones, he said. Take care with your heart. I am, I said. I am finally. On Friday, I shaved twice. I pressed my suit. I polished my shoes until I could see the kitchen light in them. In the afternoon, I drove down to the Millennium Biltmore and walked the lobby. The ceiling looked like a cathedral. The crystal ballroom shimmered with lights and gold trim, like a movie set from the old days. Staff moved in black vests and white shirts. A woman with a clipboard checked seating charts. I told her I was confirming our table number. She told me table 12 without looking up. I texted my attorney confirmed. Process server will be at the Olive Street entrance at 7:15 p.m. He replied, keep your voice low, do not improvise. Hand the envelope to GC, not to the MC. I know, I wrote. At home, I put the documents in separate large envelopes. One petition for dissolution with attached exhibits. Amex statements, bank transfers, Rolex receipt, Lexus financial note, with VIN insurance card marriage certificate. My attorney's cover letter sat on top. It said in calm, polite terms that we requested a fair, quick dissolution and temporary orders freezing community accounts. 2A packet addressed to General Counsel Westgate Brands Alice's company. Inside the vendor agreement with the no compensation outside the contract clause highlighted, printouts of the payments from Alice's card to Greg's LLC, copies of emails Alice had sent from her work account to our home printer with spreadsheets labeled Client Prospects Confidential. Those had come out of our printer tray by accident last month. I had grumbled about wasted ink. I had no idea what I was looking at then. Now I did. 3A note for Alice, short, handwritten. You didn't have to lie. You could have told me we were over. The money made it plain. The Lexus made it public. This ends tonight. Frank. I knotted my tie in front of the hallway mirror and saw a man I recognized from old photos. Not younger, not stronger, but clear. Sure of what he would and wouldn't do. Saturday evenings smelled like old LA perfume, street tacos, warm concrete, a touch of exhaust in the tunnel under Bunker Hill. I parked in the Pershing Square garage and walked up to the hotel. A light band played standards in the lobby. People in evening wear drifted around the big floral arrangement. I took a seat on a couch where I could see the front doors and the event entrance. At 7:10 she arrived. Alice looked well. She wore a blue dress I'd seen only in a garment bag. She had a little shine on her cheeks and that determined glide in her walk that always got her what she wanted in rooms like this. Greg was a few steps behind in a tuxedo with a slim black tie. He carried himself like the hotel was an extension of his office. I stood. She saw me. It was like seeing a deer catch a shape in the trees and decide whether to run. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "Table 12, I said. "Spouse ticket." "You can't be," she caught herself. She smiled a tight smile. "Let's not have a scene." "There won't be one," I said. I held up the white envelope with her name. "This is for you." Her eyes dipped to it and came back up. Later she said, "We need to get checked in." "You do," I said. "I'm set." Greg cleared his throat. "This is between you two," he said. "Don't bring me." "You're very much in it already," I said. He looked past me toward the ballroom like he could already feel the air in there. "I don't know what you think you're doing," he said. I don't think I said. I know. I felt calm. I hadn't felt calm around him before. Now I did. Facts are calming if you let them be. The process server came up from the side as arranged. She was a compact woman in a black pantsuit who could have been a colleague or a friend. She held her own envelope. "Ms. Walsh," she said to Alice, polite, almost cheerful. "You've been served." Alice's hand went to her chest. She took the papers. Her fingers trembled for the first time. Greg took a half step back. "This is ridiculous," he said. "Enjoy the party," I said. "I'll see you inside." I walked away before my resolve could break. I went to the men's room and washed my hands. I looked at myself again in the mirror. My tie was straight. My face looked tired but set. I tucked the other envelope, the one for Westgate's general counsel, under my jacket. When I came out, I found the table with a small sign that said 12. It sat near the back but with a clean line of sight to the stage. The room lifted itself up around us like a cake. Crystal chandeliers, drapes that probably had names. I sat in my seat and watched the crowd settle. My name card said Frank Walsh. Under it in small letters it said spouse. The MC did the usual patter. Thank the sponsors. Compliment the room. A highlight reel played with music that tried a little too hard. Awards started. Smiles. Photos. Clapping that stretched and then softened and then spiked again. An hour in the Marketing Excellence Manager Level Award popped up on the screen. Alice's face filled the big projection, her work headshot confident and bright. The voiceover said nice things about her campaigns, her data-guided creativity, her strong vendor relationships. I almost laughed at that last part, almost. They called her name. She stood. She didn't look at me. She walked up between the tables in that blue dress and climbed the little stairs and took the glass trophy with both hands like she had practiced. She thanked her team. She thanked her company. She started to thank a few partners who really helped us smash our Q4 goals, and that was my cue. I stood. I didn't rush. I walked the aisle along the wall to the front where the floor manager stood near the stage to hand out cue cards. I tapped his elbow and showed him my spouse ticket. 2 sentences, I said quietly. A toast. I checked with the organizer. I hadn't checked, but I offered the envelope addressed to General Counsel to his eyes. He read the label and made a quick calculation that had nothing to do with me and everything to do with a problem he didn't want to own. "Make it fast," he whispered. He handed me a handheld mic as if he were handing me a napkin. The MC blinked, then smiled toward me because that's what MCs do. "Looks like we have a spouse who wants to share a quick word," he said, rescuing his own rhythm. "Keep it clean," he joked to laughter. I stepped to the side, not center stage, not in the spotlight, but where light still found me. I faced the room and then faced Alice. I felt my heart beat once in my throat and then drop to where it belonged. "Congratulations, Alice," I said steady. "I'm Frank, her husband." I let the words sit there a second. A few heads turned, a few eyes widened in recognition of me from Christmas parties and 2 decades of small talk on patios. "I only have 2 things," I said. "One is a thank you to Westgate for keeping strong ethics. You'll want this." I held up the envelope with General Counsel on the front. The floor manager took it from me and handed it off to a woman in a black dress near the VIP table who looked at the label and became very still. The other is a little fact, I said. The black Lexus outside with the plates ending in 67, it's leased in our family trust, paid for with our joint savings. I kept my voice soft. I'm not raising my voice. I'm raising a point. Sometimes a person does something at home and then brings it to work. When that happens, it becomes everyone's problem. The room went quiet in the honest way a room goes quiet when you drop something real. I didn't say affair. I didn't say kickback. I didn't say stolen data. I didn't have to. I held up the paper with the vendor clause highlighted and read it word for word like a person reading a recipe. No compensation outside the contract. Clear as water. I kept going. There are payments from Alice's card to a private LLC tied to your vendor. There are emails with confidential client lists sent off supported systems. Westgate's counsel has copies. My attorney has copies. We'll sort the marriage out privately with the court. But this, I gestured to the room, the stage, the lights, the award in her hand. This is your house. It deserves to be clean. I stopped. 2 sentences had become more, but not much more. No one interrupted me. I didn't ask for applause. I didn't wait for it. I handed the mic back. The MC looked grateful to be alive. The floor manager looked like he wanted to leave his body. The general counsel, now standing, spoke quietly to the VP of HR and then to a tall man with a badge that said security. Alice had not moved. She held the award like a hot pan with no place to set it down. Her face had gone from color to chalk. I saw in her eyes a flash of the girl I had married reckless, in a way that felt like confidence now running into a wall she hadn't seen because she didn't look. Greg stood at his table pale. He was on his phone with his head down like he could text his way out of this. He didn't get the chance. 2 hotel security staff in black jackets came to him with a man from Westgate's risk team. They spoke quietly. Then they walked him out. No hands on him, no drama, but everyone saw. That's the thing about a quiet takedown. It's louder than shouting. On stage, the MC moved into salvage mode. Let's give another round of applause for all our winners, he said, voice a little high. Some people clapped because they didn't know what else to do. Many didn't. The woman with the general counsel envelope walked to the side stairs and spoke to Alice. I couldn't hear the words, but I've heard that tone in conference rooms. It says, "You need to come with me. Now." Alice stepped away from the podium and followed her, the award still in her hand, then handed it to a staffer like it had burned her. The blue dress moved fast. I went back to my seat. A man at the next table shook his head slowly and said to no one, "Jesus." A woman across from me reached out and squeezed my forearm once quick like a stranger who's steadying a stranger on a bus. Then she let go. People looked at their plates. People looked at the ceiling. People looked at the door Alice had gone through. The room tried to pretend it was still a party. I didn't feel joy. I felt relief. The truth was out where it belonged. My hands stopped shaking. 10 minutes later, before dessert, the VP of HR came to our table and leaned down. "Mr. Walsh," she said, "we're putting Alice on leave pending review. I'm sorry for your situation. If you prefer to leave, we'll have someone escort you out another door to avoid any awkwardness." "Thank you," I said. "That's thoughtful." I stood. I tucked my chair in. I made my way out in the quiet way you leave a church when you don't want to bump pews. In the lobby, the band had switched to something faster, as if to will the hotel back to normal. Out on Olive Street, the night air felt clean. The valet lane hummed. A black Lexus waited at the curb for someone else. The valet looked at me. "You need your car, sir." "I'm good," I said. I walked down toward Pershing Square and rode the elevator into the garage. My shoes echoed on the concrete. The divorce went fast. Faster than I thought anything in the legal system could go. Papers had power when they were clean. The financial waste was documented. The account freeze held. The court credited me for the Lexus payments and the trip and the gift. The watch, it turned out, had already been pawned by Greg to cover a short-term loan. It almost made me laugh. Almost. Alice resigned before Westgate could fire her. They called it a mutual parting. Her LinkedIn went quiet. Greg disappeared from his company website. Their vendor sent out a press release about renewed commitment to compliance. I didn't clip it. I didn't need clippings. The only thing I kept was the insurance update that removed the Lexus from our policy. The lease broke with penalties. The car went back. The driveway felt bigger without it. I moved through the house like you walk through a place you grew up in after the furniture's gone. The rooms looked honest. Sunlight fell on floors in clean rectangles. I packed her clothes into boxes. I labeled them. I set them by the door. I texted her a list of times she could come by with someone to get them. I didn't want to see her alone. She brought her sister. They moved fast. We moved in circles that didn't touch. She tried to talk once. "You didn't have to do it like that," she said, in front of everyone. "I did it in front of the people it affected," I said. "That room is where you brought it. That's where it ended." "You embarrassed me." "You embarrassed yourself," I said. I didn't say it with anger. I said it like you say, "The light is red." She looked down and nodded once, like the truth had finally made it through. Then she folded a sweater and put it in a box and didn't try again. On a plain Tuesday a month later, I took a walk at dusk. Our block holds that time of evening where sprinklers kick on and you hear the cough of old irrigation heads. Dogs bark at the same squirrel. A kid tries a skateboard. The sky over the valley turns the color of a ripe peach and then deepens until the sycamores look like paper cutouts. I ended up on the back porch we had built the year we thought we'd never move. My son called from Oregon. His little boy yelled in the background about something the dog did. We talked about a baseball game and whether his tomatoes had survived the late cold snap. He asked me how I was doing. Not open-ended, not "Are you okay?" Just the good question from a grown child who knows you can handle the truth. "I'm steady," I said. "I'm sleeping. I'm eating. I'm walking." I got the car detailed for no reason at all. "You know that old chair by the window I fixed the leg? It doesn't wobble anymore." He laughed softly. "Mom, left the company. Papers signed. We'll settle the last bits next week." "I'm sorry, Dad." "Me too," I said. I meant sorry in the big way, not guilty, just sad that time does what it does to two people who stop telling each other things at the same speed. After we hung up, I sat for a long time. The porch light hummed. Somewhere near the alley, a nightbird made that two-note sound it always makes. I thought about the look on Alice's face on stage. I thought about the Lexus at the curb that first day. I thought about the receptionist who had pointed and said her husband and how the words had landed in me like a fast stone. I had wanted for a minute there to go back before that pointing. That was natural. Then I had realized the truth. The thing I was trying to go back to didn't exist. The marriage I missed was a picture I kept in my wallet, not a thing in the house. What I took back at the hotel wasn't triumph. It was my own sense of what was real, my own respect. You spend years building something, and sometimes you look up and realize the foundation, communication, trust, even the quiet rituals got hairline cracks you didn't see until the whole wall bowed. I had been proud of not making a scene in my life, but there is a difference between not making a scene and letting someone drag your name and your work and your money through their own mess. I had confused polite with weak. I had been wrong. The pile of envelopes had been the right size and the right shape. They held facts. They held a boundary. They said no farther. I slept better now. That was the strangest gift. Peace in my own house. A chair leg that didn't wobble. A week later, I took the roses from the vase I had never thrown out and carried the glass to the sink. I washed it and set it upside down to dry. On Saturday morning, I went to the farmer's market on Ventura and bought new roses from a man with a sunburn and a Dodgers cap because they were pretty and the kitchen looked good with color. I didn't put meaning on them. They were just flowers. They made the room look like someone lived there with care. I saw a black Lexus on the freeway sometimes. They're everywhere in LA. It didn't make my heart jump. It made me check my blind spot like I should have been doing all along. A neighbor asked if I was doing okay. She'd seen the boxes. She'd heard the garage open and close at odd hours that month. She didn't pry. She just stood on her side of the property line with her hands in her sweater pockets. "I'm good," I said. Then I changed it. "I'm better than good. I'm honest." She nodded. "That's something." "It is," I said. I liked how quiet the house felt at night now. Not empty, open. I liked that I could read without thinking about whose car had just turned onto the street. I liked knowing what the money was doing. I liked that when the phone buzzed, it was a friend or our son or a reminder I had set nothing with a secret. And I like that when I walked past the mirror, the man who looked back at me had the same eyes I had when I was 26 and meant the words he said. The rest of me had changed. That part hadn't. It had just gotten covered up for a while by routine and compromise and little lies you tell yourself to keep peace. You can lift those off like you lift tarps from a porch couch and let the air get to the fabric. I don't have a neat bow for all this. I don't have a new relationship waiting in the wings or a beachfront condo to show for it. I have a small life that feels true. Morning walks, coffee, fixing what's broken in the house I plan to keep, consulting work when I want it, a grandson on FaceTime who holds up his drawing of a fire truck and says, "Papa, look, I'll take that." If you're reading this and you're my age or older, you know how fast 20 years can blink by. You know how easy it is to let someone else's urgency run your day. You know how you can feel stupid for missing the obvious and then punish yourself for trusting. Don't. Trust is a good thing. What matters is what you do when trust is broken. You spend so long building a life you forget to check the foundation. If something doesn't feel right, don't wait for a business trip to end. Take care of yourself. You're worth the peace.